Good morning. My name is Barbara Hitt. My pronouns are she and her, and I am delighted to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville on this third Sunday of 2025 and the last day of the Biden administration. But look around, take heart, you are among friends here. And on that sobering note, here's a little bit of humor. I heard that Bernie Sanders blasted Trump for moving the inauguration inside, and he said somebody should just tell him to wear his expletive-deleted mittens. We all loved Bernie's mittens last time. All right, so back to the script. We are an open community for learning, caring, and justice-making, and we acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Native people. Whether you've joined us online or you're here in our beautiful sanctuary, we are very glad to have you with us. Our congregation is served by our minister, Reverend Jamie Dingus, who is currently away on sabbatical leave, and we are being served by Reverend Ruth Van Lillian as our sabbatical minister, and she may be contacted through the church office for pastoral care or questions about our religion. And she's not here either, but we are delighted to have Rachel Rogers with us. Rachel is a ministerial student at Meadville Lombard School of Theology. She's spoken to us many times, and she's a wonderful speaker. So thank you, Rachel. If you're a newcomer, please sign our guest book in the foyer to receive our weekly email newsletter. And also under the name tags, there's hearing assist devices available for anyone who needs them. Now please take a moment to silence all your electronic devices that may chime forth otherwise. And if you have a joy, a sorrow, or an important milestone that you would like to share during our circle of candles, and have it included in the pastoral care. Okay, they look like this. Write it on the white card in the pew in front of you and drop it in the offering basket. For community news, check our email newsletter, our website, and there's a paper insert today in your order of service. And we have one additional announcement today. The new UU class series started this morning before church. Even if you missed today's class, please join us at 9 a.m. on the next 2 Sundays in the Adult Religious Education Room for this chance to learn and share about what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. Childcare and breakfast snacks will be provided. Contact Pam Korb at membership@uuch.org for more information. Then after our service, everyone is welcome to join us in the fellowship hall for coffee, snacks, conversation. And now I would like to invite Laura Lee to ring the singing bowl to help us enter into the service more deeply. Lorelei. Is it Lorelei, sweetie? Lorelei. Finally, having gathered in a shared quest for truth, meaning, and purpose, let us light our chalice with these words. The Great Spirit's story is told in the twittering of the birds, the rippling of the mighty waters, and the sweet breathing of the flowers. And now let us enter this morning's service more deeply with music for centering and our thread song.
Good morning. As you were told, my name is Rachel Rogers. I use they, she pronouns. It is my deep joy to be back with you again this morning and also welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. Our call to worship this morning comes from Lynn Cox. Come, you accidental pilgrims, you who find yourself on a journey of surprise and wonder. Come, you who emerge into this place as an act of liberation. Come, you who seek a life of mindfulness and a place to test your thoughts. Come, you who bring hearts of all kinds, heavy hearts, rusty hearts, hearts broken open in revelation, hearts full of love to share. Come, you who seek courage and you who have more courage than you realize. Come, you who stand behind the curtain, gathering up the resources to claim your truth. Come, you who have been in a bubble, you who are poised for transformation. We begin our story again, gathering courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We gather as people of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We share a covenant, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage and challenge one another to spiritual growth. This path will ask much from us. Let us move forward with love. Let us move forward with appreciation for one another. Let us move forward knowing we are not alone. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts, you are welcome to join in this journey. Let us worship together. And now please rise in body or in spirit as you are so moved to join us in singing hymn number 34 in the gray hymnal, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
If you'd remain standing, we will now do the doxology in English and Spanish and the words of aspiration, which are on the blue cards that look like this.
May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration.
Now I'd like to call Susie DeLacy and Jessica Zelaya forward to present certificates to our 5 graduates of our OWL program.
Good morning. I'm Susie. My proteins are she and her. Okay. I have not had my coffee this morning. It was decaf. If you were in our OWL class, please go ahead and make your way up here. If you'll just stand along the ramp right here. We're getting ready to call your names. Today we wanted to take a moment and recognize the participants of our senior high OWL program. OWL stands for Our Whole Lives and is a comprehensive sexuality education program that takes place over several weeks with activities, discussions, practice dialogue, mini lectures, and a whole lot of giggling, as you might imagine. The OWL classroom is a safe space for students to ask frank questions using frank language and to learn not only some correct answers and where to find them, but also where not to look for answers. One of the things I appreciate most about the OWL curriculum is the emphasis on eliminating shame when discussing the body and topics of sexuality. It was an absolute joy to watch the mental, emotional, and spiritual exploration begin on some very tough topics, such as sexual health, navigating relationships, negotiating boundaries, discussing all the ways that consent is interpreted, and learning how those things evolve as you grow up. I'd also like to recognize the parents who made an extra effort to drop off and pick up and accommodate in ways that we don't even realize so that their teen could be present. I know the exhaustion of those tasks. Thank you. What a delight to realize how much work some of you parents had already put in on everything from making sure your kids know correct anatomical terms to dismantling the patriarchy. Thank you for that solid foundation for OWL to build on. Now I'd like to ask these grads to come when you hear your name called and receive a certificate commemorating the knowledge base you've all achieved. Please remain standing here in front of the altar until everyone has been called up. Lewis Johnson. Vane Warrington. Jeremy White. William Yang. Last but not least, Torin Chimba. You each now hold an opportunity to improve the world by doing something we adults cannot do. Go into your peer groups as a leader. Speak up when you hear incorrect information. Unpack myths and misunderstandings amongst your peers. Raise awareness of the legitimacy of LGBTQ relationships and the spectrum of gender expressions. Advocate for gender equality and reproductive rights. When you hear a derogatory term used, call it out. Set an example for how cool it is to be educated on the sparkling diversity that is human sexuality. Be a beacon to those around you who will never have the privilege of attending OWL. Let's applaud these new community leaders. You can be seated.
Now we'll have our story for all ages. So the young and the young in heart can come forward, please.
Good morning. Our theme this month is stories, listening to those of the stories around people around us and telling our own stories. So with that theme in mind, our book this week is You Are a Story. You are a living thing. You breathe. You sleep. You work and you play. You have dreams and fears. You have thoughts and memories. You are. You are someone's child. You might have one parent or two. You might have relatives who take care of you. You might be adopted. No matter who your family is, you deserve all the love you can get. You are an animal. You're a member of the mammal family. You have bones, you have hair, you drink milk. You are closely related to the chimpanzee. Like all other animals, you call Earth home. You are a body of water. More than half of you is made of water. The water in your sweat cools you off. The water in your saliva helps you eat. The water in your blood helps carry nutrients to your body. Rivers flow through you. You are an astronaut. You are a passenger on a ship called Earth. You sail around the star called the sun. The sun voyages through a galaxy called the Milky Way. You are always moving through space. You are a sponge. You are constantly soaking up new information. You are a student of the world. You learn by trying new things. You absorb everything you see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. You are a friend. You are someone who likes to play with others. Others also like to play with you. You share, you listen, you care about how others feel. You are someone others can count on. You are under construction. You are not a finished person. You are a work in progress. You are growing, learning, and changing every day. Even when you grow up, you still won't be finished. Life is always building you. You are a mystery. What will you be when you grow up? What will you look like? Will you have children of your own? Where will you live? Who will you live with? Nobody knows, not even you. You are one of a kind. Even if you are a twin, there was no one exactly like you. There has never been another you. You are the only you that will ever be. You cannot be copied. You are unique. You are special. You are a miracle. You started out as one tiny cell inside another person. You split into 2 cells, then 4, then 8. You grew into a baby. You pushed your way into the world. You became your own person. You are a story. You are the author of your life. Every day is a blank page waiting for you to fill in. Make your story funny. Make it interesting. Make it an adventure. Tell your story to others. Then listen to others. And with that, we can now sing our children out.
We are the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville, a proudly inclusive spiritual community. Together we build a broader search for meaning, a bolder form of compassion, and a braver voice for justice, which we're really going to be needing soon. If you would like to support us with a contribution, we would be grateful. That helps us to keep the lights on, heat the building, maintain the grounds, run our ministries, pay our staff, and minister fair wages, and support other organizations that share our values. You can donate online using the QR code on your order of service, or just plunk some cash or a check in the offering basket, which is about to come by, and put in those circle of candle cards if you filled one of those out. In addition, you're invited to come forward during this time and quietly drop a stone into a bowl of water here next to the ramp, in honor or memory of something you hold in your heart. It is through your generosity that we serve our mission here at UUCH. With gratitude, we now receive the offering.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, we gather here in awe and reverence, in gratitude for the connection that we are offered. We are thankful for the interconnected web, the infinite series of choices, happenstance, blessings, sorrows, and precious accidents that all conspired to bring us to this place and to this community in this moment. May we lift up each of the joys and concerns that we carry in our hearts, those shared and those held close and silent. We know that every single day, every moment, we hold the truth of joy and the truths of suffering simultaneously. May we be present to them. As we look out into the world, we offer up prayers for resilience, comfort, and strength for those in California facing such immense loss as dangerous conditions remain imminent in some places. We offer gratitude for news of the ceasefire that began this morning in Palestine and for the hostages as they are being returned to their homes. We pray for a reprieve for the people there, which will give them a chance to breathe, to embrace one another, and to experience the grace that comes when one has the privilege of looking to the future. And now we share the prayers of our community. The Perry family shares a sorrow. Cliff's uncle Ron Lee was diagnosed with grade 4 brain cancer. We are praying for healing and cure to surpass the 12 to 18-month current prognosis. Foster Perry also shares a sorrow. My precious youngest sister, Sarah Perry, passed away this morning. Valley and I were with her, holding her hands and stroking her forehead. She left us peacefully. There is a card in the fellowship hall that you can sign. LaDawn Edwards shares a sorrow. Last Sunday was the anniversary of my husband's death. I am so grateful for the support of my church family during this time of transition to my next chapter. And Susie DeLacy shares special thanks to the folks who have upped their game to help keep things running over the sabbatical months. Also, happy 19th birthday last Sunday to the Taylor DeLacy. Let us be moved to compassion for all that has been shared into this beloved community and for all that will remain silent, unspoken in our hearts. And let us say, blessed be and amen. And now will you join us in singing our responsive music, number 1009 in the Teal hymnal, Meditation on Breathing.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
So today is not only the last day of the Biden administration, it is also the Sunday before Martin Luther King Day. So we celebrate or mark these two dates at the same time. Our reading this morning comes from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is from a speech he delivered to the American Psychological Association in 1967. It is with great humility that I relay them to you. May these words and the meditation of our hearts bring us closer to beloved community. Modern psychology has a word that is probably used more than any other word in psychology. It is the word maladjusted. It is the ring and cry of modern child psychology, and certainly we all want to avoid the maladjusted life. But I must honestly say that there are some things in our nation and the world to which I am proud to be maladjusted, and wish all men of goodwill would be maladjusted until the good society is realized. I never intend to adjust myself to segregation and discrimination. I never intend to become adjusted to religious bigotry. I never intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few, leaving millions of people smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society. I never intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism and the self-defeating effects of physical violence. We need maladjusted people where these problems are concerned. It may well be that our whole world is in need of the formation of a new organization, the International Association for the Advancement of Creative Maladjustment. Men and women who will be as maladjusted as the prophet Amos, who in the midst of the injustices of his day cried the words that echoed across the centuries, "Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream." Maladjusted as Abraham Lincoln, who had the vision to see that this nation could not survive half slave and half free. As maladjusted as Jesus Christ, who could say to the men and women all around the Galilean hills, "Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them that despitefully use you." And through such maladjustment, we will be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of man's inhumanity into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice. So ends our reading. At this time, we have a special music presentation. I'll invite our musicians up to lead us, and the lyrics are in your order of service.
This sounds like a great old folk song, but it really was only written in 2020 by the great Eliza Gilkison. And it's going to be easy to catch on to, so as soon as you catch on, look in your order of service at the words and plan on singing along and singing out with us.
Together, arm in arm.
you so much. Can y'all hear me on the lav? Is it working okay, or do I need this one? Either one. Oh, freedom. Okay. Again, I'm happy to be back with you on this very, very cold morning where it looks like it could snow at any second. I don't know if it started here yet. It was snowing when I left Nashville this morning. It made for a really fun first 30 minutes of my drive, but I was glad to make it and happy to be here. I feel like the older I get, like the more often I want to say things like, I can't believe it's already the middle of January. Like the time just like keeps going, right? But I have to say, I guess that means I'm not surprised to be surprised when I think about the fact that here we are on January 19th, 2025, a day that I kept like really far in front of me for as long as I possibly could. With that in mind, I've also been thinking that lately I've been wondering like how tired people may be getting of listening to people talk about, sometimes those people being preachers in a pulpit, maybe talk about and reference like how scary everything is. As those blessed enough to enjoy the freedom of pulpits such as these, I feel like we can face a regular conundrum. How do we stay integrous with our choices around preaching in such a way and focus on messages that meet this tense and tumultuous time that we are facing, these times that hold such strife, such fear, and such ominous oppression, while also giving our hearts and our spirits the room that they need to breathe and to hope and to imagine. Of course, the aim is to typically do both of these things, to hold the both and of the moment, to lend a hand in creating a space and a time where all of us souls, those who sit in these seats every Sunday and have for decades, all the way over to those who may have ventured into this community for the first time today, where all of us can meet each other right where we are, take a deep breath, center ourselves, and eventually, hopefully feeling even just a little bit stronger than we did before, venture back out into the world, renewed and ready to show up in the world as forces of love and justice with peace in our hearts. My prayer each Sunday when I am able to deliver a message like you're allowing me to do today is that at least one person, because I believe that one person is enough, that at least one person will get just a little bit to carry with them, to help them face what they need to look at and face in this coming week. And that especially feels real today, because what a week we face. I will tell you, there is no place I'd rather be at such a moment as this than among fellow people of faith who I know believe as I do that we are called to build beloved community and to not only imagine new ways of being, but to speak those ways into reality with bravery and conviction, with fierce fire. I'm so happy to be amongst people who show up for each other, for their communities, and for the world, amongst brave people, amongst loving people, amongst those who I know are committed to justice and love and who recognize our deep interconnection to one another. And I hope that you know that that is who you are. I hope that you feel that when you are here. I hope you carry that identity with you as you exist out in the world. I hope this sanctuary is one that exists not just in this physical place or in a virtual meeting room, but also in your heart, in your homes, and in your spirit. And when you tell the story of yourself and your spiritual community, my prayer is that you are telling the true story of a people who are connected by their shared values of justice, interdependence, transformation, pluralism, equity, generosity, and love. The story we tell of the world is one bound together by love, where our faith teaches us and guides us to holy places. It urges us down a path toward building beloved community. Even when the road is rocky and things appear dark on the horizon, our faith and our connection to each other guide us forward, showing us where to go, showing us what is right and true, showing us what is worth questioning, and showing us what is worth fighting against, what tides we have to push back on, what stories or narratives that exist in our culture that we must refuse to normalize. So as I've said, and as you know, today is not only the Sunday before the inauguration. Today we also gather on the Sunday before MLK Day, when we pause to especially honor the legacy of Reverend Dr. King and his unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and human dignity. King's vision consistently reminds us of the power of courage and compassion in creating meaningful change. Celebrating his birthday as a holiday offers us the opportunity to recommit ourselves to fostering understanding, fairness, and progress in everything we do. When I first came to the realization that Inauguration Day would be falling on MLK Day this year, I have to admit that my first reaction was one of resentment and rejection. I found myself in my anxiety about the future or my resistance to the reality of this moment leaning towards a refusal to connect these two occasions in my mind. Initially, in my mind, Reverend Dr. King's legacy and charge to all of us could never be circumstantially aligned with hateful rhetoric, intentions, and a point of view of those focused on othering so many of our neighbors and empowering and bolstering the very few ultra-rich and powerful amongst us. The notion of reconciling such events in my own heart and mind, let alone while accepting your generous welcome to your pulpit, felt difficult and hard to manage. There is gravity to a moment such as this, and I doubt a single one of us doesn't feel it. At first, when I found myself believing this story I was telling myself, that the alignment of these two events happening on the same day was unfair, not right, incongruous, I felt stuck, downtrodden even, like the timing of the events happening on our national stage tomorrow somehow were attempting to rob us of the dignity and inspiration and reverence that is due to the annual celebration of MLK Day. The story I was telling myself was one of being robbed of something or having something tainted, and it was an easy story for me to believe because lately it felt like there had just been so much disappointment. I was ready to accept more disappointment. So much had been unveiled, so much has been made more difficult. So on this day, to being somehow, like telling myself that it had somehow been ruined felt like a story that made sense. It was easily believable. But one of the great gifts of preaching is that this work requires you to sit down and look at things from every angle. To be given this opportunity to share ideas and to deliver a message comes with the luxury and the privilege of spending time processing. Because of course, before you get up and do something like this, you have to take quite a bit of time to think. And then, at least for me, to also question what you're thinking. To ask yourself if you're considering all the possibilities of an idea, to see what dimensions your topic are worth spending time on, and if you're lucky, within the midst of an exercise like this, you'll realize something that you were thinking or believing, even a story that you were telling yourself, maybe wasn't quite right. Maybe you'd been misunderstanding something. Maybe there was another story you could tell. One of my favorite experiences in the world is having my mind change. I think I've preached like a dozen sermons about it in the few years that I've been doing this. To be stuck in a negative story about what's going on around you can lead to feeling stuck and without options as you look at the world around you. To believe that this thing is happening and is bad, the people making it happen are bad, and my only natural response is to dislike it and refuse to engage with it. It's a pretty easy pattern to fall into. Perhaps I fall into that moment more often than others because I also know that something I gratefully experience, not too infrequently, is the joy of hearing someone else's perspective and having my world opened up, having my stuckness suddenly feel unstuck. Because in hearing their interpretation of or perspective on whatever it is we're facing, I can feel my spirit shift and my mood lift, because in changing the story, changing the narrative, I'm now faced with new options often which come with less negative emotion and more compassion for others. In my own ruminations and contemplation of looking towards today, I can't pinpoint exactly what moment shifted my thinking around the coalescing of the inauguration and MLK Day. But in my process of teasing things out, I did have a moment where the clouds parted and a new story was revealed. Like a ray of sunshine pierced through my gloom and ignited a hope within me. Humbly, I came to an understanding much later that I'm sure many others did, likely more of you were faster on the draw than I was, that there was no better occasion or inspiration or source of wisdom available to prepare us for tomorrow than the work of Dr. King. If there was ever a source of steadiness, of conviction and resolve more suited to face this time, I can't imagine it. The story I was telling myself about this simple coincidence of the calendar tomorrow, because tomorrow will mark only the third president in history who's been inaugurated on MLK Day. So it is rare. I had to triple check myself on that. It was closing me off. It was cutting me off from hope. And the simple realization of how much a gift centering on MLK's words on this day flipped the narrative for me and led me to discovering the reading that I shared with you earlier. And when I found it, and when that term, creative maladjustment, jumped off the page at me, I thought, yes, this is the reminder that I need in this moment. Even though we have seen some of this darkness before, even though the world is doing its best to normalize injustice and inequality, and in these days even hatred, I know that one of the most important things we can do is refuse to adjust, to refuse to normalize, to refuse to comply in advance to a new normal that we know deep in our hearts, our guts, and in our souls is not the way things are meant to be. If we know ourselves to be at times a gentle, angry people, then we do need to speak up and speak out at times like these. We must become the maladjusted people that Dr. King described, refusing to let injustice, inequality, and bigotry be normalized. To do this, we must, when we can, speak up. We need to familiarize ourselves with a phrase that a friend of mine wrote on a protest sign at the Women's March back in 2017 that said, "None of this is normal." We must, as poet Claudia Rankine wrote in her book, Just Us, An American Reckoning, name what's happening. Because as she said, if we don't name what's happening, everyone can pretend it's not happening. Professor, writer, and public thinker and Nashvilleian David Dark wrote an entire book about this charge against adjusting entitled, We Become What We Normalize. In it, he reminds us that understanding the human assignment means reading the room, registering my context, and discovering the spirit of the times, figuring out what's needful and what I might see that others don't, what my responsibilities are. So, what are our responsibilities? We may not understand all of those yet, and we may also easily start to feel overwhelmed if we list off every injustice in front of us that we know needs dismantling. But we can start with Dr. King's charge to refuse to adjust. We can refuse to normalize things happening around us that we know in our hearts to be wrong. We can start by being that boulder in the middle of the river that diverts or slows down that coming stream. And we can hold onto and lift up and normalize that which we know is loving and holy. We can focus our narrative around the goodness and the love we feel in community, in our families, amongst our friends. We can relish in moments of joy, no matter how small. We can immerse ourselves in art, music, words, and prayer that uplift us and remind us what beauty and joy our fellow humans are capable of creating, what we are capable of creating. Because for me, those things are what's normal. The everyday comfort we feel from connecting with loved ones is, for me, normal. The taste and nourishment of a good meal, the comfort we receive from others when we need it is normal. I'm sure you could name more things like this. I encourage you to do so. And all of these things, these good, beautiful things, they can be fuel that enable us to go out and do what work is needed in the world in whatever capacity we have to do it or whatever role it is that we have to fill. These joys, these moments of care, even within the ongoing fight for justice and the wins, both tiny and grand, that come with it, these are the things that we normalize. We become what we normalize, and we refuse to normalize hate. We will normalize love. As always, I encourage all of you to take care of yourselves and to take care of each other, and I encourage you to stay maladjusted. Carry stories with you of resilience and love and humanity's immense capacity for progress. Together, we stand for something real, something true, and something necessary. The story we are weaving is that of a love-filled future. It is, as Dr. King taught us, a story of beloved community. I would like to close my sermon by once again bringing someone else's words forward, this time in the form of a poem by Aurora Levins Morales. It's entitled, "Imagine This." May her words be an inspiration for what types of stories we carry forward with us through today, through tomorrow, and through the days that follow. She wrote, "Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return. In times of mourning and in times of joy, inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies, recite them in your sleep. Here in the cruel shadow of empire, another world is possible." Imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning, the exact smell of the summer street in which no one has been shot, the muscles you have never unclenched from worry gone soft as newborn skin, the sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets of the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being towards the day that when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds and justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it was your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. Friends, may we believe, as Dr. King described, that we will be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of man's humanity into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice. May it be so. And now, I would invite you to rise in body and spirit as you are so moved to join us in our closing hymn, number 1028, in the Teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith and free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our minds
let us take a moment to extinguish our chalice with these words. As our service comes to an end, go quietly amid the noise and the haste. Remember what peace there is in silence, and be gentle with yourself.
Friends, our worship service now comes to a close. I will be at the back of the sanctuary if anyone would like to say hello, no pressure. And you're invited to go to the fellowship hall for fellowship and conversation. For those on our live stream, thank you for being with us this morning. And now let us leave this sacred time by revisiting some of these words from Aurora Levin's Morales. Escalate your dreams, make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. Amen. Blessed be, and let us go out singing our rite of community, number 1039. Be now with us.